a lot of people are parroting the idea of the next update in Play, and so it's going to be known as the Death Update because the DPS requirement for these new bosses is completely unrealistic for most players. Now personally, I'm neither going to confirm or deny if this is the case because I have not played the game to that point, so I don't really know. So I'm also not just going to pair the idea simply because I heard someone said it, who probably heard someone else said it, who probably heard someone else said it, and we don't really know if this is true or not. This is the exact same thing that people have said about like Bug Dungeon when it first came out, or Pohara. It's like, these dungeons are impossible, you have to swipe. But after a week or two where people got stronger, people understand the game a lot more, these dungeons are very easily farmable by majority of the player base. And so that's basically what I want to address today and stuff like that. Personally, I think the game is in a relatively healthy spot, and ironically, we're near the end of the patch where it's actually really boring. To be honest, farming Pohorn over and over is so boring that I feel like people are starting to slowly stop logging in. But even then, I still see a lot of people AFKing in the motion towers. It's really late into server time, and I still see 4-channel. If I go to World Boss and I start late, there's like 150 people in my class. So if I multiply that by like 7, that's 1,000 people hitting the World Boss. And I don't even hit the World Boss regularly. Sometimes I'm like playing another game like League of Legends, Monster Hunter Wild. Sometimes I'm going out with my friends. I don't regularly hit the World Boss, and I'm sure this is the case for a lot of people who just can't be bothered to hit the World Boss. Personally, if I were to pull a number out of my ass, I would estimate that this is like 1/30th of the amount of player actually playing the game. Since you have this amount of people hitting the World Boss on the Heaven 3 servers, and then there's the Viridian Coast server who also is able to kill the World Boss, and then the Europe Moonwater server who is able to also kill the World Boss. And then considering that like most people probably don't actually care to hit the World Boss, not everyone play at the same time and stuff like that, I would easily underestimate like a lot of people are playing the game. And this is a little further tell by the amount of views I get on my video. A little biased because this is my channels, but I would estimate like less than 10% of the actual player would watch my video, and even that's very high. I would even guess like not even 5% of the people watch video. Most people who play MMO just want to play the game. They don't really care to watch the video. So if I assume like a 10% population watches my video, which is like, I feel like it's impossible and really high, then that's like 25,000 people who are potentially playing the games, and I think that's overall in a really healthy state. Overall, what I want to say is that it would be pretty sad if the game actually do just die off from there on the next patch, and it really sucks because as long as I'm having fun with this game, I will continue playing the game. I have actually started to make a point to not spend money on the game, not because I don't want to, but just because I want to see how far I can get without spending money, so I can be a little more relatable and stuff like that. More on that in a new video coming soon, so be sure to subscribe. With that being said, let's address the actual topic. The 3 new dungeons that are coming into the next patch. Those are going to be Cold Storage, Bloodshade Harbor Part 1, and Bloodshade Harbor Part 2. Cold Storage is going to be the easiest dungeon out of the 3. It dropped you the purple belts and it dropped you other stuff like that. It is true that this dungeon have a pretty high DPS requirement. I have actually attempted this dungeon on Korea, and with like a 700 AP team, the damage was clearly lacking and stuff like that, right? This dungeon do have an 18 million HP bosses on a 4-minute requirement. This boss doesn't really move a lot. He's more of a target dummy compared to the bug, but he does also have a mechanics. This boss have these robots that are gonna fly in and stuff like that, and you have to make sure that these robots do not reach the boss, because then they'll give him an additional defense buff. So there is a mechanics here to actually do in this dungeon. That means the DPS requirement is potentially even higher than we guessed it. So that is definitely a thing, right? The same go with the other 2 dungeons. Most people are really concerned about the 27 million HP Heimujin dungeon. Personally, I'm not too concerned. I think it's totally fine that people don't make it to the hardest dungeon in the first week or even the second week. I think a natural progression of doing the Cold Storage to get your purple belt upgrade, maybe even some other stuff like more books and stuff like that would be really nice. And then you move on to the training base, and then you move on to the command center. Personally, I'm not in a rush to beat Heimujin on the first day. I don't expect people to be able to beat Heimujin on the first day, and I think that's completely fine. After all, the game is mostly about journey, and you want to make sure you're slowly progressing through these dungeons, and I think that's okay. So to say something like, Heimujin is completely undoable the first day, I think that's not a very good, healthy way to look at the game. You shouldn't be able to compete in the hardest dungeon on the first day of the patch. Specifically, one of the things you would notice about Hey Mujin compared to the other two dungeons is that this boss is level 51. The thing with the Bloodshade Harbor patch that is going to be coming is that we're also expecting to get level 55. So in the original Korea Bloodshade Harbor patch, they received the level 55 update, which means we will get 5 more level of base stats. And you see that Hey Mujin is level 51, that means if you're level 50 or even just level 51, you suffer like a level penalty and you do like less stuff and stuff like that. So it is expected. I think you should wait until people get to level 52, level 53, maybe even level 54 before you attempt Hey Mujin. And so I think there is going to be a slow and natural progression for us to slowly get over. You can see this being reflected in the boss level. Cold storage is level 48, so it's something attemptable on the day one. If you're someone who has been playing regularly, who hopefully have their full skill book set up online for their accessory and stuff like that, then I think the cold storage dungeon is doable on the first day with a very competent group of players. Just like how the bug dungeon was very hard on the first day and is very tight on DPS, assuming that your entire party is up to speed. Right, and then you slowly move on to the Bloodshade Harbor dungeon. One of the things you'll notice about this dungeon is that it has the exact same copy as the cold storage dungeon. These two bosses, it's the exact same copy, they have the exact same moveset, so cold storage serves as a training ground for Bloodshade Harbor Part 1. The other thing about Bloodshade Harbor Part 1 is that there is the same robot mechanics, but these robots, instead of giving the boss a defense buff, you actually need to lure these robots into the boss so that they will hit him and they will do a bleed mechanics. So there's actually a damaging mechanics on this boss that you're supposed to do, right? So there's a lot of DPS gain that way. So by saying something like, oh, this boss has 20 million HP is undoable for a free-to-play player, I think it's not a full representation of the pictures. On one hand, we're going to get 5 more level of base stat, which is a lot, on top of getting brand new accessories and stuff like that. We get 3 of these purple accessories, the belts, the bracelet, and gloves, which should might be a little expensive if you're trying to rush them, but over time, slowly should be more acquirable for many players, just like everything else in the game, right? So I would expect that most people should be able to comfortably hit around like 800 attack power by the next patch, and therefore you're gonna get a lot more damage by going into the next patch. I think it would be relatively comfortable going into that, right? The other thing you would notice about the Hey Mujin dungeon, and I believe this is the case in the new version, so I don't know if it's going to be coming, is that Hey Mujin dungeon, you can see, only drop blue chests. This dungeon no longer drop green skill chests, it only drop blue chests or higher, so hopefully this will significantly make the blue chests more affordable. Personally, I think for the most part, blue chests are already pretty affordable if you have been actively playing the game and trying to make money that way. But hopefully the increased drop rate from either these two dungeons, hopefully, because I don't know, and the additional blue or even purple drop chests from here is going to help the player base significantly progress and stuff. So my point is that we still have a lot of things to progress, so I'm not really concerned of like saying like, oh, the DPS requirement is too high right now when we have a lot of DPS to gain from the next patch, right? That's why I think it's unfair. If you're like, oh, I can't hit this DPS requirement right now, it's just not going to be possible. You have to start factoring the fact that we get 5 more levels and stuff like that. Hopefully they start addressing the battle pass and stuff like that. Personally, I actually don't even know if the new patch is going to be coming next week. A lot of people are speculating that the new patch is going to come on the 8th because that's when this battle pass ends, but they haven't made any official announcement yet, and this is already a week ago. So I'm hoping that they would make an announcement if the patch is actually coming. I actually hope that the patch is not coming in a week and they start doing stuff like catch up event and stuff like that, or just event in general. But the thing with Play and So Neo that I feel like is a miss is that we're trying to push content really fast and catch up to where Korea is. I can understand that the Poharan dungeon is not very fun to farm after doing it again and again, and I do wish we have more content, but at the same time, pushing new content too fast is also not a good thing when we haven't have anything like event that will help player get material and stuff like that, right? When I was playing Korea, they have other event where you would just do the blue dungeons, you would just do Mushin Tower, and you get like a exchange material that can exchange for stuff. On the NA Play and So server, we haven't have any legitimate event. We have that like kind of, I wouldn't say stupid, I'm sure they tried it the hardest, but they made this like War of Tomorrow event, and that's it, and it didn't really give you anything that is usable. Oh. right? The War of Event tomorrow give you like 5 blessing points. It's not really a big deal. I would like to see the NA server start giving player event, just like how we always had it. That will provide us with more material, maybe more books, so overall the player base can get strong and stuff like that, right? But they have new battle passes that come with, I don't read Korean, so someone correct me, but I believe this is a selectable blue chest. I think one of the biggest misses is that their battle pass is not up to speed. This battle pass feel like a Cinderland pass, and that's why it have like level up quest and epic chapter 1, chapter 2, because I feel like this battle pass was completely out of date. I feel like this battle pass is what Korea got on their like first level 36 patch. That's why it give us like Cinderland item. These ones are like not even that high, right? And the attendant books also scream to me this is like supposed to be for a Cinderland patch. That's why they're giving Cinderland item instead of giving us moon water item like these, right? It feels pretty bad. So in that sense, like we're catching up so fast because we're already 3 weeks into the moon water patch, but they're still giving us Cinderland items, so that feels really bad. So I do hope they make an adjustment there, and I have a separate video about that already. One of the biggest difference that we really need to address is how Korean play on significantly lower ping on average. Most of their players are playing on 10-20 ping, and they can execute this extremely fast attack and cancel and stuff like that. And for me, even with a VPN program like exitlag, which I have an affiliate code in the description below, I'm still playing on 60 and 70 ping. And when I play on a class like Assassins, my attack are significantly slower, therefore I'm doing significantly less damage because of that. And that's something really big to consider if they're going to make these really tight DPS limit, is that our ping is just losing us so much damage compared to the Korean patch. Yeah, the other adjustment that I'm hoping that they will make is that they will adjust these dungeons correspondingly based on the NA player base. After all, while we're kind of playing the same game, it's not really the same. Our version came with skill stacking that changes how the skills kind of came into the market. It does increase our overall damage and stuff like that, but at the same time, we also lost party blue buff. Blue buff from Assassin's class as well as KFM class are no longer party buff, and at the time of these dungeons being released on Korea, they still had party blue buff. At least I believe that would be the case. Maybe this KFM here would have it and would use it. You can see it here, right? You can see they still have that party blue buff in their version. So I hope that they adjust these dungeons or give us more damage item, because of the fact that our version started off with completely different starting point compared to the Korea. So that I would like to see them make an NA adjustment. But overall, personally, I'm not too concerned at the current moment. I think the overall player base is pretty healthy. People are starting to take the game a little slower because, you know, farming the same dungeon for over and over is not very fun, and I think that's fine. People are gonna probably come back on the next patch, and there will be more goals to aim for and more chase for. Higher levels from the new patch, hopefully better item drop rate and stuff like that from the next patch and stuff like that. So we will see. I think parroting to the idea of, oh, the game is gonna die like in next patch, so don't play it anymore, is not very healthy for the game. Personally, I am having a lot of fun with the game still. I'm taking it relatively casuals. I just kind of play like an hour or 2 every day, and that's really it. And as long as I'm having fun, then I'll keep on playing the game and stuff like that. And if the end requirement is that it really look impossible, that it's like, this game is just, you have to swipe, then if I stop having fun, I'll simply stop playing. And that's the reality of playing any video game. I think as long as you're still having fun, hopefully with the people, which is, by the way, I really like MMO because you get the hangout of people. And for those of you who come to my stream and stuff like that, I really appreciate it. If you don't know, I stream regularly on Twitch at twitch.tv/Tenten to stream Blade and Soul. Like, oh, Blade and Soul is dying because the Twitch number is really bad. But I promise you, as a streamer myself, I don't expect people to ever come in and tune into my stream, just because watching someone else play an MMO is one of the most boring thing ever. That's the same thing with Final Fantasy XIV. Unless there's like a world race going on, which apparently there's a completely new patch with new Savage Raid, the viewership on Final Fantasy XIV is also really low for the most part, because people just don't like watching other people play MMO. It's more fun to play together. It's more fun to play it yourself than to watch someone else play it. So I never really expect people to like to show up to my stream, and I still really appreciate that you guys do that. Just because, again, I really like hanging out with people when I play MMO. That's the reason of why I end up coming to play an MMO instead of playing the other game that I used to play, like Wedding Wave or Genshin Impact. Yeah, that's how my current take is on the future of Blade & Souls. We will see what changes they end up making. I fully expect that the career patch and our patch is going to be very, very different. On one hand, they're already starting to bring stuff over. You can actually see that in the end of this video, I think Heimujin didn't drop any blue chests at all. Or rather, it still dropped green chests. And I'm so curious if this is how we're gonna get Heimujin as well, because that would really sucks. So right here, loot, you can see that he still got green chests and stuff like that. But in the pictures here, it only dropped blue chests. So I wonder if this was a new change that they make after this video, or this is a description error. There's another very recent change that happened in Korea, where they rebalanced the dungeon because the release of Midnight Sky Pedal Paint. So you can see this is an April patch, completely new, where they made it so that the cold storage dungeon actually now dropped the Bloodshade Harbor Soul Shield. It didn't drop it here before. It dropped it in the 2 dungeon here. And the Heimujin dungeon, I think this dropped the Narlap and Soul Shield. So that's quite interesting and stuff like that. So overall, I'm praying that the team makes some adjustment because to cater to the NA player base a lot more than the career player base. And again, like our version is very different because we have book stackings that kind of help you gain DPS, but it's a little hard to reach, and we have no blue buff and stuff like that. And our content is being pushed significantly faster, so I hope they take all of these into account and make some adjustments accordingly. The biggest adjustment I would like to see them make is to provide player with a little more resources because of those reasons. Once again, the attendance books or even the battle pass feels like these are for Cinderland, and we're way past Cinderland, so I would really like them to see, them adjust these stuff and stuff like that. Maybe an event to help player gear up to prepare for the next patch, because we haven't had any actual in-game event yet, right? And stuff like that, right?